Okay, so just gonna talk here a bit because I decided to make this video and upload it just because a lot of people are wanting to play Kindred right now, and Kindred's I originally thought Kindred was not as good of a champion as Kindred actually is because I saw a lot of bad ones obviously immediately when she came out, and of course that's gonna happen. People are gonna play her badly when she first comes out. But I ended up playing Kindred in the jungle. This was my first PvP match with Kindred, and it ended up going really well. So I was gonna, go ahead and do a little bit of talking on Kindred and give my personal advice. I know I'm not like freaking high elo or anything, so you don't have to take it if you don't want to. That's cool. But as someone who has been playing quite a while, I do think that I at least have the say to give a few pointers here and there. Um, Especially if you're playing Kindred at my elo, like probably like low silver, etc. Um, or that's where I am because I'm not playing any more ranked for the season. I just climbed out bronze recently, so I'm good. I'm happy taking silver for this season at least. Um, but anyways, so what I end up okay for masteries here, I end up going 21 and 9. Um, Pretty sure I end up taking I'll actually go over that. I'll probably list the masteries later on or something. Actually, I'll look it up right now. Give me a second.
Never won.
But
Without
in the
the other.
meantime, gonna keep talking. So I ended up doing that for my runes. I went with armor pen marks because Kindred, while Kindred does very well with AD, she her scalings are really bad on her Q, particularly, which your Q is going to be your primary damage most of the time. And you want to have more damage out of that. And armor pen marks are going to give you a lot more damage. They're going to, or they're going to make it more effective,
30 seconds
essentially,
until minions spawn.
um, than AD will. I ended up taking AD Quint because you still need that early attack damage to help you clear and for your autos and stuff. Um, For glyphs and seals I went with I think for seals I went with scaling health and
Minions have spawned.
6 scaling health and 3 scaling armor, I think. I'll have to check. Yeah, it was 6 scaling health, 3 scaling armor because you are very squishy and you're gonna need the extra health later on in the game. If you know how to get through the early clears which with Kindred is actually very easy. Like you can easily clear with Kindred without a leash if you want to. Like here, I always start Krugs with Kindred because the auto stun or the stun on auto attacks is really useful for your clears, as you are obviously an auto attacking champion. I didn't actually smite Krugs in this game though because I didn't really need to. You don't have to smite the first camp if you don't want to, if you think that you can get through your clears without it. I end up smiting red for the health at the end, but I would always go red first with Kindred, just because it's gonna really help your damage. If you want to do a early gank, like probably level 3, level 4, you're gonna want red buff because it's gonna give you that true damage burn on whoever you're ganking, and especially if you're going mid lane, which mid lane is usually a pretty good place to gank with Kindred, because a lot of current mid laners are very immobile. They're not, they don't move a lot. You get people like Brand, you get people like, there's some people like Karthus that are big right now. Who else is there? Veigar. But Veigar would probably be a relatively difficult gank due to his stun. If it's down, easy gank. If not, then it's a bit of a problem. But, so, that's that. With glyphs, I went with 3 magic resist per level. And you don't really need magic resist, like flat magic resist or anything, because you're not going to be in lane for one, and you're not going to be taking magic damage while you're in the jungle, because, you know, minions in the jungle don't do magic damage. So, and I actually went with 6 flat cooldown glyphs, because I feel like I know it doesn't affect the Q, and a lot of people talk about that, because the Q is always exactly 2 seconds when you have Wolf up. But I did it for Wolf because you want to have Wolf up as often as possible, so that when you go to your next camp, Wolf is up quicker, so that you can go ahead and start clearing faster, and you get more health back essentially, or you can move through your jungle quicker. Basically, is because you're gonna want to have Wolf up for each camp, because it's gonna keep your health up if you do. An important thing to remember is going for the passive, going for those scuttle crabs so that you can get those early stacks, so that you can start doing that percent health early on. I don't actually know why I didn't get some stacks in this game, early game, from the marked targets. I'm not sure why that happened, but maybe I did something wrong, I don't know. Either way, it didn't really matter. But again, I'll go over masteries here since not much is going on in the game right now. I took 4 points in Fury for that attack speed. I know Fury isn't a great mastery overall. It's not anything stupendous, but you know. I took 3 points in Brute Force and Martial Mastery because they're kind of important. You need AD to do shit. Spell Weaving and Blade Weaving I took are very important on Kindred, because you're going to be moving and attacking very consistently. And you're going to be like switching up between Q, auto, and that's going to proc those both very often. Oh, this is where I came in to gank Karma. I did burn the flash here because I needed to get the kill. What I did not realize is that you have to wait until the sign procs on the person before you can kill them. So just because you select their face in the passive, this is just general tips about Kindred here. Just because you proc their face, or you pick their face in the little selection menu, you actually have to wait a few, like I think probably like 10-20 seconds before it becomes available for you to get the mark on them. So I actually end up coming back in here for another like secondary gank and trying to select Vayne. But if you saw the 2 circles there, the middle one has to reach like all the way the smallest point it can get, and then the sign will appear above their head, and then you can kill them for the mark. This is why I missed out on a few of the kill marks early in the game. But the marks that I was supposed to get from scuttles and stuff, I don't know why those didn't show up. Or I can check again when that happens, but I went with Butcher and Feast in Masteries because the mana back and health back are just really useful in the jungle for sustain, along with Wolf. Brand is such a fucking easy game, he really is. Especially early game, when he is... Well, this Brand especially, because he kept pushing up the entire game. Try to ward. Like, for people on the other team, for people on your team, just ward, please. I even end up buying a vision ward in this game and dropping it. Let's see, have I already done that? Yeah, I dropped it down in bot lane a while ago, and it stays there almost the entire game because people at this elo don't know how to ward. I probably should have bought more wards in this game, but I didn't. But hey, whatever. I mean, we won in the end, which, you know. But so
in our shadow.
Let's see. Okay, back to masteries. Took 3 points in Warlord. Devastating Strikes, not really worth it. I actually probably could have gotten Frenzy instead of Devastating Strikes, because the attack speed on critical hits would have been kind of nice, but it's not that much attack speed. And I did kind of like the armor pen on Devastating Strikes, even if it's 1 point. Definitely 3 points in Executioner and 1 point in Dangerous Game, because you're going to be getting a lot of assists, or a lot of kills hopefully, and you're gonna need that to stay in the fight when you're, you know, because you're really squishy. As Kindred, you are very squishy. You're gonna get, if you get focused, you're gonna get bursted down pretty quickly, and you're gonna need those, um, those mana and health restores to stay in the fight. Oh yeah, this fucking Fizz. Oh, this is hysterical. So took Tough Skin, 2 points in it, in defense. Didn't take Bladed Armor because you're not gonna be, as you've seen, I've been kiting these camps. You're not gonna be taking that many autos. Hopefully, I'm very bad at kiting these camps. I do it like better than some people, I guess, and not well enough to like stay alive and do decently, but. Again, Brand, easy gank. But yeah, I don't take Blade Armor because I usually don't take too many auto attacks. I take a decent few because I'm bad, but you know. 2 points in block, 2 points or 1 point in unyielding, standard. 3 points in veteran scars, 1 point in juggernaut, also standard. Let's see. So that's about all for the runes and masteries. I'll probably list them below the video as well. So let's see. Okay, this is where I am. I get Warrior on Kindred because Devourer recently got nerfed. I know some people know this, some people don't, but it was in the patch notes, is that Devourer for ranged characters only procs every 4 hits. I think it is. It's every 4, I'm pretty sure. And that makes it really ineffective. Although it is recommended on Kindred in her recommended items, I would not get it. I would get Warrior instead. The armor pen, the cooldown reduction, and the damage are absolutely fine on her. If you want to go Devourer, be my guest. But if that were the case, I would not recommend going the same build because you're not going to need that much attack speed. Like, I build a decent amount of attack speed because I end up building Berkeries and Trinity Force and Bork. And that's a lot of attack speed. You're probably going to either not need Bork or you're not going to need... Actually, Bork is probably kind of critical because you need the lifesteal. So you'll probably end up buying different boots if you go Devourer. But you're also going to miss out on some armor pen in that case, and I just feel like Warrior is more effective in the end. Okay, this time, you see that? That's the little sigil. Oh, I think I end up getting Brand in this one, but I end up dying here. And Brand makes the really bad mistake of walking out of my ult. I don't know why he did that, but I wasn't able to get out in time. But that's also a very good way to tower dive, is using your ult. You have to be careful on placement because of the fact that if they're in it, basically you want to place it so that it's just, you're just on the edge of it, but you're still able to attack them, like I tried to do. So it is definitely good for that. You can definitely make some early ganks with it if you want to go and tower dive with your laners, especially top lane. That's usually a good place to go to drop an ult, walk with your laner under their tower and kill them. I don't gank top lane much this game because Kayle kind of is difficult to deal with, but I would wait until, I wouldn't tower dive until you're like completely comfortable with Kindred though, because it's still really risky. I think I kill Fizz here again. Yep. God damn. Poor Fizz. I felt bad the entire game for this guy just because I kept shitting on him. Oh yeah, Vision Ward's still in that bot lane bush. I tried to urge them to take Dragon a lot of times before this, but they didn't want to, or they just were too busy pushing and stuff. So if your laners aren't going for Dragon, go and help them do
Those
whatever
who
they're
never
doing.
took
Don't
the
try and just sit there and like continually convince them to take dragon, because it's wasting time. Just always try to make sure that they finish whatever they're doing and then go take dragon. You can typically solo dragon pretty easily just because you have so much sustain from W,
Now.
but I wouldn't do it until a little bit late. Maybe like 7 or 8 at earliest that you could solo dragon. Otherwise, it's still pretty risky if you don't have enough wards or if the enemy could walk up and steal it. But it's definitely possible. I almost never recommend soloing dragon though, unless you are someone who has a shit ton of sustain and is relatively tanky, like Warwick or Jax. Or Volibear. Volibear is also good.
They race from us.
Only to find us sooner.
So maxing skills, always max Q first. Q is your primary damage, and it's your best clear. And then for the second skill, I hear, as far as I've heard, some people max W first, some people max E first. I max W first because I think it's better clear damage, and I just like it better. Oh god, this was actually really good. This is why I don't gank Kale, because Kale's a real pain in the ass. This was really dumb of me, mainly because I was fighting her in the middle of her minion wave. And you don't want to do that. But I think if I had attacked her in the middle of one of my minion waves, it probably would have been a little bit better. Or if I had not, if she didn't have a minion wave, I probably could have won that fight. But I made a stupid mistake and went in there when there were minions, and that was my bad, and I ended up dying for it.
And everywhere Lamb went.
Wolf
So.
was sure to follow.
This brand is so dumb. No offense to whoever this player is. Like,
The only true death
but you really,
is to
like,
never live.
just word of advice, you really should have backed up and not pushed out so far without wards. I end up faking him out, going this way, placing a ward there to make him think that I'm going that way, and then just come back and kill him, because I knew that he was going to go back. He wouldn't go through there. It was instant death if he did. But ganking as Kindred, pretty easy. It's basically just kind of like walk in, or try to walk in behind them. I do. Like, especially earlier I used that bot path lane for a lot of ganks.
Wait for them to flee.
The little tri-bush and bot, I used to use that for a lot of ganks because it's a good way to get behind them. Even if you take a tower shot somehow, it's still a really good way to gank in, because they are not going to expect it and you cut off their escape. So.
And everywhere Lamb went.
Wolf was sure to follow.
I'm pretty sure Kale. God, Kale is really fast. It's very annoying. I don't know why I flashed for this. I end up. This is one of the reasons I take Trailblazer. Is because you can smite minions for that quick mana boost, or you know, health and mana boost, and it's. Especially like there, if I had done it a little bit earlier, maybe, or if I'd had a little bit more mana, I probably could have killed Kale with that last Q. But in clutch situations like that, or if you're getting away and you need to Q over a wall, which you can do with Kindred, only it's only small walls.
An enemy has been slain.
But the Trailblazer, really good for that. I feel like Trailblazer is probably one of the only things I would take on Kindred. Maybe Skirmishers, but Or chilling smite, whatever. I think that's skirmishers, yeah. Nobody buys the counter jungling one. uh, but also remember, just because you get fed. I remember hearing this from one of my one of the people that I watched earlier. But if you just because you get fed doesn't mean that you're gonna win the game because of it. Like, it's all entirely based on what you do with that lead. You gotta turn that into something. I, at multiple points of the game, end up using this to push a lot. Try to split push lanes, you know. I try to gank a lot in this game. But also killing high priority targets is pretty important. Karma is usually a really solid target because of the fact that she has a lot of CC. And she can throw those shields on her team.
An enemy has been slain.
And I knew that my team could handle the rest of them with Karma gone. So this chase was not exactly a bad thing.
All will know us in time.
I don't remember if we do Baron yet or not. I don't think so. I should honestly, I suck at buying. I should really be doing this while I'm backing. Looking at the store while I do that. You should probably too. Don't be like me, being bad, sitting in base buying.
None can hide.
But yeah, Bork pretty critical on Kindred, just because the percent health added on with your already great percent health passive.
They laugh.
Really good synergy, plus the attack speed and lifesteal are really nice. Lifesteal is kind of super important. I don't know why he flashed there. I was so confused. Or at least I didn't at first. And then he ends up, I figured he was probably trying to go for somebody back there, but it was... Why did he flash there? Come to think of it. I really don't know. I probably shouldn't have burned ult there, but I mean, I still got out, so it's fine. I would say if you end up building Devourer on Kindred, oh, yeah, I end up dying here. If you end up buying Devourer on Kindred, you get Merc Treads in most cases, unless they're somehow all AD and have no CC, which is unlikely. I would get Merc Treads, because CC can really, really fuck you. Most of the time, if you do get CC'd, you are, and if anyone else on their team is nearby, you are likely dead. Unless you have flash up, or even if you do have flash up sometimes. God, that fucking running animation is so goofy.
I smell prey.
But I also got a little confused at this point because there's two marks on the map for Wolf. I'd probably have to read up on the passive again, but I don't remember exactly why that is, if that's supposed to be a thing, or if it is, why it is. But some general jungle tips. Oh, at this point, I think we start pushing here for a little bit. Oh, There's my fail flash. Yeah, so that was pretty pro. Best flash NA. 0-10 guys, 0-10. This was really dumb of them because they end up cornering themselves. You never want to do this. Like, you don't want to bottleneck yourselves. I probably should have been a little bit more careful there. But they did end up coming out of that on top. Mostly because we made some really bad plays. But you still do not want to do that. You don't want to let yourself get bottlenecked in those positions. You should always ward that bush between the tower and raptors. Because it's easy for someone to walk right behind it if your tier 1 tower and mid is down. And then you can end up trapped behind, you know, someone from the enemy team and then the rest of the enemy team.
There are so many ways to die.
Just kind of throwing out tips right now that I can think of on the top of my head.
Embracing
But
life means accepting death.
most of what I can say has been said at this point. As a jungler, it's also one of, probably you and the support, as a jungler, you and the support are the two people who are most expected to place wards. I do a decent job of that this game. Not great. I just mostly use my trinket. I could have been buying wards a lot more often, but I didn't. I would say just every time you have some extra gold, buy like at least a sight ward, maybe a pink ward. Pink wards are usually a bit better because you can de-ward with them. This was a good call. Because of the fact that we had most of their lanes pushing towards their side, and they didn't expect it because Ziggs was still mid, so they assumed that, you know, you don't want to tank this as Kindred because Baron will wreck the hell out of you. But if you can get someone else to tank it, it's pretty easy. You do a lot of damage to it. If you're below half health, I would say always back after Baron. It's just better and safer to make sure that you keep that Baron buff so you can use it to siege. And please, please use Baron buff to siege. Like, I've seen so many people that take Baron buff and then go straight to Dragon, which, going to Dragon's fine, but then they go straight into a team fight afterwards, and it's... Baron buff is decent for team fights, but it's a lot better for pushing lanes. And objectives are, like, always just straight up more important. I end up getting relatively fucked here. As you saw that CC right there from Brand. Oh no, it wasn't Karma. I think Karma snared me in that one. But CC will fuck you. Thankfully in this one, Renekton stays alive, and he ends up using that Baron buff to help us push. But don't do what we did there. Don't use the Baron buff as a team fight buff. Use Dragon for that. Because Dragon's gonna give you the true damage and the double attack, whatever. That's your fighting buff. Baron buff is for pushing. I mean, maybe that's just my opinion also. I can understand that other people are gonna, you know, dispute that and say that Baron's good for fighting or whatever. It's not bad, but I would, from my personal opinion, I would highly recommend using it to push. Because I feel like you get a lot more out of it.
Stick in my claws.
While I end up getting Dragon a lot this game, if you think, if there's any chance that Dragon, I mean, if not any chance, but if there is a reasonable chance that Dragon could end up causing you guys to get into a losing team fight, or that it could be stolen or whatever, don't do it. If you think that you're gonna die contesting it, don't do it. Just let them have it. Dragon is not as important as people think. I mean, yes, it's good, but it's not worth fucking yourselves over, basically. Oh, this was actually pretty good on Fizz. I shouldn't have gone so deep, but I'm a greedy bastard. So, what can you do? This Kindred walks out of their ult for some reason. They did have good placement of it, but it was too close for them to get out alive. Something to remember also is that your ult does heal everybody for 200 at the end of it. So you do still have like a window of escape typically. I'm really surprised this brand doesn't just like disconnect at this point. I harass him so much. Sorry, Brand, if you're watching this.
Chase it until it's dead.
But gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Smell their
I don't end up using my Bork active here because you don't really need to slow him if he's not running away. Which he doesn't run away. If he had started running away, I might have considered it. Or if he had stunned me and started running away, I definitely would have considered it. But I would be careful with your Bork. Bork is something you want to like save specifically when you absolutely need it. Otherwise, the passive is absolutely enough
in our shadow
for your needs.
An enemy has been slain.
So it's not being useful, or it's not being useless just sitting there. You don't have to worry about that.
Beauty fades. That is why it is beautiful.
I get Trinity Force on Kindred because Trinity Force is just one of the best items. Sure, you can't use the ability power, that's fine. But the mana is really nice because you end up spamming Q when you have your W out. And you proc it on every Q. Again, with the spell, just like spell weaving and blade weaving, you're gonna proc it so often that it becomes immediately worth it. We end up fucking ourselves a little bit in the late game, but I probably didn't need to get Last Whisper this game. I actually probably could have gone for a Bloodthirster because they don't build very much armor in this game. But it's still not a bad item. I would say if they don't build any armor at all, you could probably get a Bloodthirster instead, and you'd still do definitely enough damage. And you'd have a better chance of surviving because of the shield. Or you could also go Essence Reaver, which should be a solid pick because the cooldown reduction for your Wolf and getting mana back, so when you Q, then you can auto and get a little bit mana back, you know. Your Q does make you a little bit mana hungry in some team fights. I actually don't even get close enough to get an assist on this one. While it recommends Guardian Angel and Kindred, I don't think that's really a great item. Mostly because almost anytime you end up using Guardian Angel, it just delays the inevitable because you don't come back with enough health to get away if you're a squishy usually. Unless you're like really tanky or you have a really good escape. Like if you're someone like Jax or if you're someone like Echo, maybe. Or I'm trying to think of who else there is. Either way, basically Guardian Angel is not a great item. You cannot do Baron at relatively low health. I end up just popping our ult for this, just in case. By the way, it does still heal you for 200, even if you aren't at the lowest possible health that you can get to. So, it is basically a free heal if you use it like that, like I did.
We are the waiting.
But looking back, I don't know why I didn't clear that the first time I passed through. I probably should have done that. But at the same time, I went ahead and got Dragon anyways. They were mostly dead, so it was a good time to do so. Anytime that most of the enemy team is dead, use it to do something. Don't sit in jungle and take camps. Especially urge your other laners not to sit in jungle and take camps, because sitting in jungle and doing camps when most of the enemy team is dead is the worst thing you can possibly do. It's basically taking all the time that you earn from killing them and then throwing it in the toilet.
They go.
Use it to push a tower, use it to take Dragon, use it to take Baron. Do something with it. I end up doing a lot of split pushing here. Kindred is really good for split pushing because of her Q and her W. I end up pinging here because everybody went missing, and I figured they were going to come for me. I actually pushed up hoping that they would all come after me so the rest of my team could push mid. Because I knew I could probably get out of this. It'd be fine. I end up flashing to jump away from Fizz here. I figured that Fizz was probably going to, no matter what he did, he would end up coming towards me. If whether he E'd or he Q'd, he would be going through me, he would be going towards me, so I wanted to get behind him, so I ended up flashing there. But apparently Runeglaive Fizz is supposed to be strong. I mean, I don't know. I haven't tried it, but
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
this is about where we end up winning. Yep. Oh, this is where team's dicking about a bit. They're keeping everyone busy, so I take the opportunity to go split push bot lane, because best way to win the game is take down all three of their inhibitors. Like, a lot of teams, what will happen is you'll push down that mid tower and that mid inhibitor, and then people will just try to straight up rush the Nexus, which is, given most situations, really ineffective. Because that is the best place for them to defend it, basically. Because you can't go to the left, you can't go to the right, because there's gonna be towers on both sides of you. The only way to get out of that is to run straight back, and they can chase you in that case. They can hunt you down, basically. If you have all of their inhibitors and their towers down, you have free roam in their base, and they have super minions coming from every direction. It's just a generally better way to secure victory. If you're ever having trouble ending a game, I recommend pushing every other, grouping up as a team and pushing down the remaining lanes. It will vastly help your game closing ability. Me just melting karma. What a balanced champion, right? So yeah, pushing down those inhibitors is important. You can see all the waves coming in. While they have a pretty big minion wave down in their base still, Oh, the CC lock in this one was absolutely terrifying. I end up getting Banshee's Veil in this over what's it called, Guardian Angel, because as I mentioned earlier, Guardian Angel is kind of just a delaying the inevitable. But Banshee's is also really good in this case because I'm gonna block something. I'm gonna block either a brand ability, which is gonna negate his ability to drop that stun on me. I'm gonna block a Fizz ability, which is gonna kill a lot of that damage that he would be doing. Block Karma. Either, no matter what happens, it's going to block something really useful and it's going to be really helpful. And the magic resist was really important because most of their team does magic damage in this game.
Legendary.
I would also possibly recommend Mercurial Scimitar or Mauve Malmortius maybe, but consumables, obviously the Bloodlust potion, not really a hard thing to figure out. Vayne getting a Quadra.
Has been slain. Quadra kill. Aced.
The Banshee's Veil is kind of goofy on Kindred because it glitches out. I've just noticed this now, but it glitches out a little bit. That's kind of funny. It like goes down to her feet. That's weird.
None can hide.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
And there you go. That's how you play Kindred.
Team has destroyed a turret.
GG.